Freakonomics. Have you heard of Freakonomics? Yes. Freakonomics, he and a co-author analyzed like why drug dealers will never make money and why people make certain economic decisions. But before he was famous for the book Freakonomics, he was famous for an earlier book about his childhood. And the book was called Turbulent Souls. You have never seen a more Jewish-looking person than Stephen Dubner, except for his two parents, were he even more Jewish-looking, but in their marriage, they chose to convert to Catholicism and raise their many, many kids as Catholic in upstate New York. So you had a family that was very devoted Catholics with Jewish background and family that wouldn't talk to them as would happen to two Jewish kids who converted to a different religion. Stephen Dubner, if you've read Turbulent Souls, in his adulthood came back to Judaism. Because in Judaism, you never, even if you can convert out, you always are considered Jewish. And so he came back to Judaism. And I never really thought about that until this week. In the podcast Freakonomics, they had an episode on why are there candles anymore. Now, I'm a candle person. I gift candles, I light candles, I love candles. But I felt like anyone who was religious, whether you were Christian or Jewish or Muslim, you get candles are part of religious life. I have visited churches all around Europe, and you always are asked to light candles. On Shabbat, we light 2 candles. In many, many, many religious settings, even if we don't need candles for heat or light, which is what the podcast was about, there is still a warmth, a comfort, a power, a beauty, a spirituality that lies in candles. And then I realized, well, this guy was raised Catholic until he, as an adult, decided to become Jewish. And so Shabbat candlesticks never really meant anything to him. So he may not understand why candles still exist if we don't need them for warmth or light anymore. But anyone who looks at a candle and finds meaning in the 2 candles we light on Shabbat understands the power of candles. And then, sure enough, a day later, it hit home with the following. This week is the birthday of Ariel Bibas, who was one of the hostages that was kidnapped and killed. We have the step-grandmother of one of the hostages who, thank God, was released and is alive and well and good and enjoying time in America. But there were 1,200 that weren't, and one of them was Ariel Bibas. And earlier this week, on August 5th, he would have been 6 years old. And so what I would love for you to do with me is read the directions, the hope of his family that they have for the rest of the world. And then our guest, Lauren Cohen, who's here, will come up with her son, Spencer. Sorry, Spencer, I'm springing this on you. You don't have to talk. Don't worry about it. If the 2 of you will come up, and we'll light the candle for Shabbat, and we'll also light the candle for Ariel Bibas's birthday, which was this week, and he is not here to celebrate it. So please join me as we read the reading at the top of our service sheet together. Ariel Bibas, of blessed memory, was supposed to celebrate his 6th birthday this week with his family and friends, but Hamas cut his life short on October 7th, 2023, when they kidnapped him along with his mother Shiri and baby brother Kafir and slaughtered them all while they held them as hostages in Gaza. His relatives said, "We invite you to light a candle or release an orange balloon and dedicate a good moment with your loved ones that will bring a smile to their face, send a message, give a hug, offer help to someone." We continue on page 2 and 3 after our candle lighting. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We continue with Hinei Ma Tov on page 10 of our prayer book.
Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
We read together at the bottom of page 27. Together, teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Please rise as we continue with the Baruch Hu on page 28.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Page 30, we read together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazemanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmeretehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We continue with Ahavat Olam, page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Ukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemodeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, Bishadinu v'kuminu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nishmak b'divrei Toratecha, Uv'mitzvotecha, Le'olam va'ed. Kihim chayinu ve'orech yomidu uvahem negei yomam v'layla.
V'yavtecha al tasir mimenu la'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue with the Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Vaed.
Please be seated as we continue on page 36 with the Via Havta.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down, when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Ani Adonai Elohim, I am Adonai, your God.
This is the first time that I've been at a congregation with no youth group or religious school or preschool. I've been here about 2 months at the synagogue. But if I was at a synagogue with kids, we would talk about the very early Florida school dates, because school starts, public school, private school, university, where my stepdaughter goes in Florida, in these weeks and around the country in the weeks ahead. And this is a period of transition to have to go from that relaxed way of summer into the busyness of the year. We will feel it ourselves because the high holidays are not far on the heels of the beginning of the school year here in Florida. This night in Torah is a night of transition moments as well. We are in the second portion of the book of Deuteronomy, and we will get the 10 Commandments for the second time. But who the children of Israel were when they were given the 10 Commandments the first time in the book of Exodus, right after they had left slavery, until today, when they receive the 10 Commandments or re-articulate them as they are about to enter the promised land, they are a different people. Same with Mi Chamocha, the song we are about to sing on page 40. When it is originally given, it is by those children of Israel who've been battered by slavery and who have to think even to get across the sea there be danger in the wandering in Sinai on the other side. But here we are, free individuals, able to look back on Mi Chamocha and understand our own transition in modern times in a place where we are able to celebrate freedom. We continue with Mi Chamocha on page 40.
Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osei pele, Makutecha rahu vanecha, Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zeni anu ve'amru Adonai yimlo le'olam ba'ed.
V'ne'amar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, ga'aleinu miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai ga'al Yisrael. We continue with Hashkivenu, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Echolitenu matinu lechaim. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechayim Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha Tiktakeinu Be'etzah Tova Milvanecha Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechayim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechayim.
Together, page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ba'al Yerushalayim. Please rise as we continue with the tefillah on page 46 and the next several pages.
Adonai sepatai tiftachu v'yagi tekilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Lehu, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanoro, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasleavot V'Imot, U'Mevi Gula Lebnei Bneihem, L'Ma'an Shimo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer, U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh ha'kol atah, Rav lehoshia modit atal. Mechalkel chayim behesed, Mechayeh ha'kol beracham rabim. Somek nobilim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato l'shenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al gavurot, umidomela, melech memito mechayeh, umatmiach Yeshua. V'ne'emanata lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kidoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. We read together on page 55. Together. Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied.
dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us. Sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue with the singing of Shalom Rav and our sentiments and prayers for peace. You can find Shalom Rav on page 60.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Ve'elko Yoshvei Tuvim. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tuvim. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon, V'cho Shalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon, V'cho Shalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tuvim. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'neinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. V'cholet v'chosha v'shlomecha. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael kol shabek. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael ve'al kol le'olam. Ve'al kol le'olam.
Together, page 61. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. We continue now in silent prayer. Shabbat Shalom. For those who joined late online or came into the sanctuary late, in between our two Shabbat candles, you will see an orange candle that is lit as well. It is lit in memory of the older of the two Bibas children, Ariel Bibas, who would have been 6 years old this week, and instead of celebrating his birthday, mark his death. That reminded me of a time that I was in Jerusalem to receive an award connected to the kidnap and killing of 3 other Israeli children. In the West Bank in June of 2014, Eyal Yifrach, Gilad Sha'er, and Naftali Frankel were hitchhiking, as were apt to do Israeli kids in that time and that place. They were abducted by drivers who were dressed as Orthodox Jews like them, but instead they were kidnapped. For 3 weeks the world looked for them, and ultimately they were found abducted and murdered. And in memory of those 3 boys, the families made a very specific decision to do something. In the same way, the Bibas family has asked us to light candles and share orange balloons and spread light in the world in this week of the older Bibas child's birthday. So after the murder of their Israeli teenagers in 2014, the Yifrach, Sha'er, and Frankel family started the Jerusalem Award. I was blessed to be a part of a group of rabbis who received that award in 2019, the last time I was in Israel. We got the award for a ridiculous reason. The rabbis in the east coast of Florida, where I worked before here, got along. Orthodox, conservative, Reconstructionist, all flavors of Judaism. The rabbis simply got along. And that was so remarkable that we were chosen to receive the Jerusalem Prize that year. And so we got, among other things, a meeting with Nir Barkat, who was the mayor of Jerusalem at the time, the pin of the city of Jerusalem. We got to go to the Rivlin president's house at that time, and his wife was still alive. And it was exciting and interesting. Along with us, the rabbis who simply got along, the group Kululam won the award the same year as us. I do not know if you've heard them or not, but they are devoted to exactly what these 3 families wanted to make sure lived on in their teenagers' memories. Kululam is one of those musical groups that takes hundreds and hundreds of people of all different religions and colors and sizes and ways and brings them together to sing songs. And so Kululam, in this case, won the award for getting Jews, Muslims, and Christians to sing Bob Marley's One Love, prepared with lyrics in Hebrew and Arabic and English. They organized the participants by the pitch of their voice and rehearsed for hours and hours. And if you go online, you can see Kululam perform as they did the day we received the reward. It was such a weird triangle. We, a group of rabbis from South Florida, we were rewarded for something we should have been doing naturally, simply getting along, while the families who had lost their teenage sons were bestowing an award for something that should have never happened, the murder of their children. And the space that completed this odd triangle was Kululam, a group that brings music and love and joy and getting along into a space. It was very odd. But knowing that we were going to mark the death of Ariel Bibas this night, I had to put on the pin, remembering these parents that we met when we received the reward, and how they decided to rewrite the script and not to live in anger and frustration and death and destruction in the loss of their 3 children, but instead to pave the way for hope. That is how these 3 kids' parents revisited what happened to them. They revisited the murders and decided to pursue shalom, peace, marking the mundane getting along of a group of rabbis of different branches of Judaism and the majestic beauty and art of a musical group. In this week's Torah portion, Ve'et Chanan, we do a revisiting ourselves of the 10 Commandments. They've been beautifully framed by the glass that used to sit at the front doors that now are up here. Those 10 commandments are actually given twice during the giving of Torah. As I mentioned earlier, they are first given in Exodus, in the wandering of the desert. The Jewish people are like babies or teenagers, hardly formed, and they need these laws to guide them. But by the time we come to this place, when they are given again in the book of Deuteronomy, we are grown. Moses is about to die, not being allowed into the promised land, and the Jewish people receive them a second time. But there is a specific reason. It's understood that the Jewish people needed to hear them again now, 40 years after the wandering, after the exodus from Egypt, after escaping the clutches of Pharaoh. When they were given in Exodus, it is implied that the Jewish people to say to Moses, you get them. We are not prepared yet to get them. Whether they weren't prepared because they were so damaged from the slavery experience, or they were tired, or they were scared, or for whatever reason, in Exodus they said to Moses, you get them from God and give them to us. But Rashi said something that tells us why they needed to be given again to Deuteronomy, in Deuteronomy 40 years later. Rashi says that God said, God will not let us go. It isn't a matter of choosing whether to quit God, the Rashi explains. It is God that chooses not to quit us. And so while they were not ready to receive the 10 Commandments in Exodus, and they had to serve through Moses as a microphone giving those words, by the time we come to the book of Deuteronomy, where we are now, the Jewish people have grown and matured. They have new perspectives. They can come to the 10 Commandments again on this second giving. There are subtleties that exist, little changes that are powerful and meaningful. For example, we light 2 candles on Shabbat because in one giving of the 10 Commandments, it says Shemor, guard or keep the Sabbath, and the other says Zechor, or remember the Sabbath. Now think of what Shemor and Zechor meant at that first giving of the 10 Commandments. Guard the Sabbath and remember the Sabbath. My God, they were not worried about guarding the Sabbath as they escaped from slavery. They were simply worried about guarding themselves from the pain of Pharaoh's whip. But here we are 40 years later, and now they know Shemor or guard means that they have to go into the Holy Land and carry out Judaism, even though life will be easier, or so they thought, in the land of Israel. And what Zechor means at the giving of the first 10 Commandments is to remember. But who the heck would ever want to remember what happened in that slavery experience? That is something someone would want to push down and forget forever and ever. But by the time of the second giving, Zechor is important because we must retell the slavery experience again and again. Now imagine on this night, in this week, what the Bibas family have to do with the Shemor and Zechor of the 10 Commandments. A shomer or a guard is someone who watches over, who protects us. And Zechor, to remember. Think about what Shemor and Zechor mean this week for the Bibas family and truly all Israelis who are still waiting for other hostages to come home, to know that war is going to be expanded. All of a sudden, Shemor and Zechor feels weak and difficult. To remember the Bibas family and those others who have lost their lives and the soldiers we have lost since, and to Zechor, to remember that it's Ariel's birthday this week, or to remember what it felt like to be Israeli on October 6th, 2023. We don't just revisit the commandments in Exodus and Deuteronomy, but we kind of revisit what they mean to us in different days, in different circumstances, and even with the way that we are. I might look at the 10 Commandments and see the positive side and be thrilled to carry out all that they ask of me. Others may look at the 10 Commandments and be like, ugh, I wish I could do all the things that the 10 Commandments bans me to, but I cannot. So we complete that triangle between Deuteronomy and Exodus and ourselves in understanding how we interpret these 10 Commandments. Some of us will look at them and be thrilled to carry out Judaism and connect with the God and Torah and Israel of our Jewish people. Another will be like, ugh, take it or leave it, I have no interest. Earlier in the week, I read an article by someone who said they were annoyingly and eternally optimistic. I have some of that in myself. I remember a couple of months ago, we were taking my mother through the airport, and at the time, she needed a wheelchair. And I turned to the person at the airport who was helping us with her wheelchair and said, don't you love your job? You get to walk through the airport every day and meet all these different people. And my mother turned to the attendant and said, ignore her. She's an eternal optimist. Pay her no mind. That's just the way I look at the world. I see the good. I see hope. But what I found so ridiculous about this article is that this eternal optimist felt that other people should be an eternal optimist like them. I have plenty of pessimists in my life, and so I know it is not possible for that optimism to rub off as long as I can try. And in fact, the most pessimistic person we find in this week's Torah portion is our main man, Moses. You see, Moses wants more than anything to go into the land of Israel. He has spent his whole life leading the Jewish people, wandering through the desert. He was alone at the giving of the first set of the 10 Commandments. He is now with community at the second set of the 10 Commandments. But because of the transgressions of the Jewish people, he and his generation will not be allowed into the land of Israel. Moses feels he is worthy of it. He was able to stand alone and commune with God and receive the first set of commandments when they weren't willing to hear it the first time in the book of Exodus. He was willing to stand here again in the book of Deuteronomy and remind the children of Israel, whether they are there for God or not, God will always be there for them. And even in modern times, Moses can inform how we hear Shemor and Zachor, the differences between the two givings of the 10 Commandments and how we guard Shabbat. Moses can't handle the idea of not going into the land of Israel. In this week, I feel like the children of Israel who did not want to receive the 10 Commandments in the book of Exodus. I waited all week to see how this vote would go about going into Gaza City, and my heart fell when I realized Israel once again was going to have to enlist more soldiers to take on more battles and more deaths. It is a difficult and complicated time, and I don't think ever before I understood what the children of Israel felt like at the giving of the first of the 10 Commandments. They didn't want to hear it. They couldn't handle it. They wanted to cover their ears. This is how I feel every day when I turn on the news about the Israel I love so much. I can't handle it on certain days. I don't feel grown enough. I don't feel ready enough to take whatever critique the world is going to throw our way. It is so difficult and so complicated. And yet I have to remember that I have something that Moses didn't. I have the ability to go to the land of Israel. If I made this weird triangle with these rabbis who get along, and this family that had loss, and the kululam that sings for peace, Moses was missing a piece of his triangle. Moses had the memory of the experience of slavery in Egypt. Moses had the wandering through the desert, but Moses' triangle was never complete. He never got to go into the land of Israel. And as much as we struggle and suffer with all that is going on in the Middle East, with those who are in pain in Gaza, the hostages who are digging their own graves, and those who suffer in Israel, we have to understand that when we hear our fellow Jews so critical and so pained by all that is going on in Israel, that God is still there for them. Just as God was there for the children of Israel when they couldn't handle receiving the 10 Commandments the first time, just as God is there for Yarden Bibas, the father who has lost his 2 sons and his wife, just as God is there for us as we sit in loss and sorrow, just as God is there waiting for us when we are given the 10 Commandments are again in this Torah portion. What is missing when you do not allow Israel is that complete triangle of what it means to be Jewish. Rav Kook, the first modern Orthodox rabbi of Israel, talked about inside every Jew, there is a triangle. At one point is God, at one point is Torah, and one point is Israel. Our modern triangle also has God, Torah, and Israel. And some days we are pulled so closely to Torah and so far away from Israel. And some days we want to grab Israel with all our might and put our arms around her. But we are lucky that we have Israel in our triangle. And when we get frustrated when there are those who reject or hurt or complain or critique Israel, we must remember that as a people, without Israel, we are not complete. We cannot reject her. We can struggle and we can be pained. But ultimately, God is always there. We cannot be promised Israel is not. We must do everything we can as a Jewish community to understand that all in the Middle East should live in peace, and all in the Middle East should live in safety and security. But it should not come at the expense of the modern day state. The last time I was in Israel is when I got this award, the Jerusalem Prize. It was before COVID and I haven't been there since. And I love walking to the Western Wall. And if you remember the steps that you take down to the Western Wall, if you're coming from Jaffa Gate, there is a place where often there are people selling red string, and there is the sound of the Dome of the Rock and Muslims in worship there that is up above the Golden Dome. And down below is the Western Wall with Jews praying. And I complete the triangle. I look at the Dome of the Rock from that vantage point up here, the Western Wall down below, and then I look to the modern city outside, where I, as a modern Jew, can find a place. Not closer to one another at any moment, but balancing and calibrating what it means to have the Dome of the Rock and the Western Wall and the modern Jerusalem. That is our challenge on this day, to figure out how to complete that triangle so that all those who worship at the Dome of the Rock and all those who worship at the Western Wall and all those who worship with the Bibas family this week, celebrating a birthday that is no longer happening, that we understand that we complete the triangle too. And so on this Shabbat, when we get the 10 Commandments again, when we are reminded, Shamor v'Zachor, to remember and to guard, figure out what these lights mean to you anew. Figure out your role. Figure out your place in the triangle, and make sure that it always has 3 parts. Shabbat Shalom. Please rise now as we continue our service with our prayer for healing. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those in need of healing. In our Mishaberach prayers this evening, Joel Lowenstein, Joan Horowitz, Stephen King, Terry Burke, Linda Mack, Judy Glass, Connie Medeiros Jacobs, Dr. Phil Gaines, Nelson Mishkin, Shirley Fine, Bib Grossman, Linda Rosenbluth, Joel Feidelman, Warren Opal, Joyce Cooper, Louis Beck, Gail Frank, David Slater, Nancy Eisenstadt, Angela Mantilla, Rabbi Ori Gregev, Josie Winter, and those names that you add as my hand meets your gaze in our sanctuary and online.
Sandy Ferris.
Richard Lang. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim.
Mi shebeho avotenu mekor hadracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebero imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We'll remain standing and continue on page 282 with Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach le'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
At this time in our service, our thoughts turn to those who are no longer with us, those who died at this season in years past, and those who have been taken in more recent times. If you are observing the yahrzeit, the anniversary of a death, or are in a period where you've lost someone in recent times, please rise when the name of your loved one is read. On the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of their deaths, we remember Philip Kay, Richard Weil, Harry Reeves, Minnie Reeves, Michael Wallace, Mildred Mallitz, Lois Lesser, Marion Ryder, Jean Wexler, Samuel Feidelman, Joseph Goldberg, and those who've been taken from us in more recent times, Jacob Ellis, Harold Ronson, Rona Simon, Dr. Burton Silbert, Michael Reiner, George Volin, Ned Yinkst, Aidan Yerushalmi, Jean Betty Weiner, Robin Green, Norma Greenwald, Robin Kasdan Toby, Scott Galinsky, Dr. Leonard Katz, Maxine Kleinman Opel, Sarah Lynn Milgram, Yaron Lashinsky, Mort Siegel, Richard Harold Weisskopf, Gary Steinman, Andy Roberts, Ariel Bibes, and those names that you add as my hand meets your gaze in home and in the sanctuary. Zichronam Livracha, may all their memories be for blessing. Please rise as we join together with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'alma tivarach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Kudusha Baruchu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata Damiran Be'alma V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort the bereaved among us. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It is a pleasure to invite forward at this time, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, Michael Borstein to share greetings with the congregation.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Kai, thank you very much for holding the fort, musically speaking, by yourself. It's a pleasure, as always. I'd like to ask if there's anybody here tonight for the first time. And would you like to stand up and let us know who you are and where you're from?
I'm Barbara Banks, and I'm from Sarasota.
Okay, welcome.
Rabbi Antifiable.
Nice to meet all of you, and welcome to our temple, and we hope you'll come see us again. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lauren Cohen, Spencer Cohen from Sarasota.
Okay, great. Okay, well, you'll be talking to us shortly. Okay, so a lot of announcements to go through. Some of it involves eating, which seems to be a theme in our temple. Men's Club dinner at Rosemary and Thyme, Wednesday, August 20th at 6 p.m. All are welcome. And what is the deadline for notifying the office that you're going to go? The 18th, okay. Then we have another event, and it features our rabbi in an unusual role. Thursday, August 21st at 6:30 p.m. is the first ever Jewish Heritage Night baseball game. In conjunction with the TBI's Men Club, the Daytona Tortugas versus the Bradenton Marauders. The Bradenton Marauders, in case of any of you who don't know, I believe is a farm team of the Pittsburgh Pirates, because that's where they do their spring training, at Lecom Stadium in Bradenton. Tickets are $10 per person, space is limited. Anybody know what the story is about how you get the tickets?
Through the office, it's all online. Yeah.
Okay, it's all call into the office here to say you're going. Okay, and the key feature of this, aside from the ball game, is to watch the rabbi throw out the first pitch. So Mitch, are you helping her train?
Yeah.
That's good. So if she fails, we blame you, right? Okay, Thursday, August 21st at 12:30 p.m., the BIW lunch at Sunnyside Cafe in Sarasota, followed by shopping at the Designer Warehouse. I don't know if my wife is going to go. Are you going to go, Sue?
If I'm here.
If you're here, I don't know. All right. All right. So Tuesday, September 22nd, Rosh Hashanah luncheon at Michael's on East, following services, $70 a person. This is an amazing lunch that seems to be a tradition. And so, again, you can sign up with the office. So that concludes my announcement. Again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It is a pleasure at this time to invite forward our guest speaker, Lauren Cohen, who is Outreach Manager of Sarasota Manatee Jewish Federation. And in these complicated times, as many federations have done this week, and she's not here to address it, but Federation put a statement out about the situation in the Middle East, and your federations, wherever you are, when you're not here, may have as well. So it is clearly a time when the Jewish community is really digging deep and thinking, but Lauren gets to do the fun and enjoyable and happy things in our community. So it's a pleasure to welcome her and Spencer here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Cohen, and I'm the Outreach Manager at the Jewish Federation at Sarasota Manatee. I want to thank Temple Beth Israel and especially Rabbi Mates for the warm welcome and opportunity to be here with you tonight. I'm truly honored to speak with you because I get to talk about something I care deeply about, the Jewish Federation and our amazing Jewish community. The mission of the Jewish Federation is to strengthen Jewish life and identity, support Jewish people in need, and promote the support of Israel. It's a mission I take to heart every single day to give you a little more background. I moved here in 1992 from Richmond, Virginia to work at the Flanzer Jewish Community Center, back when it was still the hub of activity for many of us. Over the years, I've worked for Jewish Family and Children's Service and raised my family right here and volunteered as an active member in the Jewish community. Once my kids were grown and flown, I knew it was time to return to the work that seems like it's part of my genes, as I'm a third-generation Jewish communal worker. Now at the Federation, I have the privilege of helping people feel welcome and connected. I oversee our Shalom Your Home program, where I get to greet newcomers, help them discover all that Jewish community has to offer. Another way we extend a welcome to our community was with an incredible group of ambassadors who personally reach out and introduce newcomers and other members to our community. To keep people connected, we host free happy hour events. Maybe you've heard of our Just Schmoozing or our High Life happy hours. These gatherings give newcomers, as well as longtime residents, a chance to meet, share stories, and form meaningful connections. We host them throughout Sarasota and Manatee counties, and this season we have added one right here on Longboat Key. We hope you'll join us on March 10th at Ventura's. You can go to our website to register. Another part of my work that brings me great joy is overseeing our volunteer program. The Federation in our community is growing and we need your help. We've created an online volunteer gateway where you can sign up, get notified about volunteer opportunities at the Jewish Federation, whether it's helping at events, reading Hanukkah stories to children at schools, or lending your time and skills in other ways. We're always looking for volunteers. And one of the most exciting things we've launched is a brand new initiative called JFriends SRQ. This is a free website that is with oversight by the Federation to help people connect around shared interests. Since we no longer have a JCC, many people are looking for more ways to feel a sense of community in a safe way. JFriends is the Federation's response to that. Once you register, you can browse upcoming events, which are what we call experiences on our platform. You can sign up as a guest for one of the experiences that interest you. You can even create your own and become a host. Want to host a Shabbat dinner? Start a Mahjong group? Find fellow Chicagoans or Mets fans? JFriends gives you the tools to make that happen. We already have almost 500 users that use the JFriends platform, and it's growing fast. It's simple, welcoming space to connect, whether you're new to the area or have been here for decades. This is just a sample of what I do at Federation. We have so many amazing events and programs that we offer, from philanthropy, education, advocacy, Jewish culture, and support for Israel. The Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee has something for everyone. So if any of these resonate with you, if you're looking to connect, to give back, or just schmooze a little bit, please come talk with me after. I'd love to help get you involved. Thank you again for having me. It's a true privilege to work and be a member of our community, and I hope to see you at one of our events soon. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And in my 2 months here, Lauren has been such a warm and welcoming presence, and her and Spencer will be with us for dinner tonight. Speaking of dinner, if you are joining us for dinner, you're going to go directly into the social hall. If you're not, then there'll be a little nosh out in the hallway. We're actually tonight going to do Kiddush and Motzi here in the sanctuary, so we can send everyone on their way or over to dinner. And so at this time, we invite the congregation to please rise as we continue with Kiddush and Motzi. We'll follow that with our closing song and a blessing. So we join together in Kiddush, the blessing over wine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pori hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, hinkilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh, zeher l'tziyat mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta min kohanim v'shabbat kodeshecha ve'ava uvratzon hinkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen.
And please join us in our closing song, Od Yavo Shalom Aleichem, page 353.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kohat olam, Salam, Salam, Salam Aleinu ve'al kohat olam, Salam, Salam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Ki ba'moed, Ki ba'moed, Ki ba'moed. Shalom.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav v'elecha v'yuchonecha. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav v'elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May all your paths be paths of shalom, be paths of peace. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.